Have you ever thought about, like, ditching the whole 9 to 5 thing? Not to be lazy or anything, but just to, like, actually live life how you want to.
Oh, yeah, I think everyone wants that, right? Like to decide how you actually want to spend your time and everything.
Totally. And, you know, it might not be as crazy as it sounds. There's this whole movement around it. It's called FIRE, financial independence, retire early.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little skeptical at first.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was like another get-rich-quick scheme.
sure.
But then I realized, like, the more I learned about it, it's not about that at all. It's really about taking it slow, being deliberate, and changing how you think about money.
Yeah, it's not about, like, winning the lottery. It's more about, being in charge of your money so you can live the life you want, a life that makes sense for you and your goals.
So, like, it's about freedom.
Exactly.
Freedom from, like, stressing about money and freedom to actually do what you want to do.
Totally. That's like the heart of FIRE.
So can we like break this down a little? What does fire actually mean? Well, it's about building up enough passive income and investments so that you can live comfortably without needing a normal job.
So it's not about never working again then.
No, not really. A lot of people in the fire movement, they still work. But they do work they actually enjoy,
Right.
not just something they have to do to, pay rent.
Right.
It's all about having choices.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
When I first started learning about money and stuff, I made some huge mistakes.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Big time. Like one time, I spent all my savings on an online course, that was supposed to teach me how to be a stock market genius.
Oh, wow.
Let's just say I learned more about what not to do than anything else.
Yeah, we've all been there. Like once I invested in this real estate thing, they promised guaranteed returns and
Oh, no.
yeah, it was not a good time, but it taught me to really do my research.
Exactly. Sometimes the best lessons are the ones that, well, cost you the most.
Mm.
So how do we actually achieve FIRE? What are the steps?
The two main things are income and frugality.
Okay, income makes sense. You need money to invest and make more money. But frugality, doesn't that just mean being cheap?
Not necessarily. It's about spending your money in a way that makes sense.
Okay.
Understanding the difference between what you need and what you just want,
Yeah.
making choices that work for your long-term goal.
So it's more like being smart with your money.
Yeah, exactly. It's about making your money work for you instead of the other way around.
I like that. Okay, so we've got income and frugality. What else is important for FIRE?
Investing is huge. You want your money to grow over time so that eventually you can live off of what it makes.
That's where I think a lot of people get scared, right? Investing can seem really complicated.
It can seem that way, but honestly, it doesn't have to be. The key is to start small, learn as you go, and spread your investments around.
What are some of the ways people can invest?
So many options. The stock market is popular, but there's also real estate, bonds, index funds, even peer-to-peer lending.
Wow, I didn't realize there were so many.
Oh, yeah. It's about figuring out what's best for you, how much risk you're okay with, and what your goals are.
No one right way to do it then.
Exactly. It's all about figuring out what fits you best.
Earlier you mentioned that FIRE isn't always easy. Are there, like, downsides? Things to watch out for?
Yeah, for sure. One thing that can be tough is feeling isolated.
Really?
Yeah, like if you're trying to be careful with your money, but your friends and family, maybe they aren't, it can be hard.
Yeah, I can see that.
And, keeping track of all your finances, it can be exhausting too.
So it's not like a magic solution then.
No, but it can help you build a life with more freedom and purpose.
That makes sense. You have to think about the good and the bad. But let's talk about the good stuff now.
Okay.
What are the best parts of reaching FIRE?
The biggest one, definitely freedom. Imagine waking up without stressing about money.
Yeah.
You can do what you're passionate about, travel, volunteer, anything you want.
That sounds incredible.
Or just spend time with people you love. It's all about having options.
So FIRE isn't just about retiring early. It's about living your life the way you want to live it.
Exactly. It's about breaking free from that 9 to 5 and doing something that actually matters to you.
I love that. So how do we actually make it happen? Where do we even start?
First, you need to figure out your FIRE number. That's the amount you need to have invested so you can live off the earnings.
Okay, so how do we figure out that magic number?
One common way is the 4% rule. You basically figure out how much you spend each year, and then you multiply that by 25. So like if you need $40,000 a year to live comfortably, you'd need about $1 million invested.
$1 million.
It sounds like a lot, but remember, it's a long-term goal. The most important thing is to break it down into smaller steps.
Okay, that makes sense.
Start by setting some realistic goals, like how much you can save each month, automate your investments, and just be patient.
Earlier, you mentioned that community is important for fire. Can you talk a bit more about that?
Absolutely. It can get lonely if you're on this journey and the people around you don't really get it. Finding others who are doing fire can be really helpful.
Where can people find those communities?
There are fire meetups, online forums, social media groups, all dedicated to helping people with fire.
It's great to have people to talk to and share experiences with.
Exactly, you don't have to go it alone.
This has been so helpful. Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, though, I have one more question. We've been talking a lot about planning for the future, but how do we make sure we're still enjoying life now? How do we not give up everything we love just to reach some goal later on?
That's a really important question, and one we should definitely talk more about in the next part of our deep dive. It's a tough balance, right? Enjoying life now and making sure you have more freedom later.
Yeah, it's like, how do you find that sweet spot?
It is, and I think a lot of people get it wrong. They think fire is all about giving stuff up now.
Right, like you can't do anything fun until you reach fire.
Exactly. And you see these crazy stories of people living on like ramen noodles just to get to fire as fast as they can. But that's not what it's really about.
So you're saying you don't have to like deprive yourself of everything.
Not at all. It's more about thinking about where your money's going. You don't have to say no to everything.
Oh.
You just prioritize what's really important to you.
So it's not really deprivation then. It's more like being intentional with your choices.
Exactly. It's like you're delaying some things, but for a bigger purpose. You're setting yourself up for a better life later on.
Yeah, that makes more sense. It's like finding that middle ground where you're not miserable now, but you're working towards something better.
Yeah, you got it. It's
Yeah,
all about finding that balance so that you're happy now and in the future.
I like that. It feels like a more balanced approach to money. It's not all about numbers, it's about your life too.
Yeah, for sure. We only get one life, right? And you don't want to spend it all chasing some goal and forget to actually live.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to just enjoy the simple things.
Yeah, we've all been there. We get so focused on what's next that we forget about what's happening right now.
Totally. Guilty as charged. I get so focused on achieving things that I forget to just appreciate what I have.
I think the key here is mindfulness.
Okay.
Taking a minute to appreciate the things you have, the people in your life,
Right.
those experiences, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, you have to celebrate the little things too, not just the big wins.
Exactly. Every step forward is a win. And, even if you're working towards fire, you can still enjoy life.
That's true.
You can still have hobbies, you can travel, hang out with people. It's not all or nothing.
This is making me feel a lot better about all this. It's not about just the end goal. It's about making your whole life better.
That's exactly it. Fire is about designing a life you love, both now and later.
So good. This has been super helpful. But before we wrap up this part, let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about like the practical stuff.
Sure.
How do we actually get started with fire?
I think the first thing is to figure out what you really want. Like, what does financial independence mean to you? What kind of life do you see yourself living?
That's a good point.
Mm.
I think a lot of people know they want something more, but they don't really think about what that more looks like.
Right. It's important to have a clear picture in your mind. What do you want your days to be like? Where do you want to live? How do you want to spend your time? Once you know that, it's easier to make choices that get you there.
So it's more than just a number. It's like a lifestyle you're building.
Exactly. It's about making sure your money goals and your life goals, they're the same thing.
I love that. So we've got a vision. What's next?
Now you've got to look at your money situation as it is right now. Figure out how much you're making, how much you're spending.
Right.
Find places to maybe save a little bit.
Okay.
Start making a budget that'll get you to your fire goals.
I think budgeting is where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah,
It feels restrictive.
I get that. But it's not really about limiting yourself. It's more about taking control.
Okay.
Making sure your money is going where you want it to go so you can reach those long-term goals.
So it's like a map for your money to get you where you want to be. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like your financial GPS.
I love that. So we've got our vision, we've got our budget. What's the next step on the list?
Start investing. The earlier you start, the better. Remember, we talked about compound growth.
Yeah.
Time is on your side when it comes to building wealth.
We talked about investing before, but it can be a little scary to start. Any advice for people new to investing?
Don't let being scared stop you from starting. There are tons of resources out there to help you learn.
Okay, that's good to know.
Books, podcasts, courses, even financial advisors. Just learn as much as you can, find what works for you, and don't be afraid to start small.
That's so important. It shouldn't feel like you have to be an expert to get started.
Exactly. Fire is for everyone, you know?
Right.
It doesn't matter where you come from or how much money you make. It's about taking control of your future.
This is so motivating. I feel like I could actually do this.
You totally can. Remember that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, this is the same thing. Just take it one step at a time.
Okay, I like that. So we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's still more to learn.
Definitely. And I'm excited to dive deeper into some strategies in the next part of our deep dive. I'll share some of my own experiences too.
Can't wait. Until next time, keep working towards those fire goals. Welcome back to our deep dive into fire.
It's good to be back. Ready to keep going?
Absolutely. So we talked about the ideas behind fire and like the right mindset, but how about the actual doing part? What can people actually do to reach fire faster?
One of the biggest things is to automate your savings and investments.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Like you decide how much you want to save each month or what percentage of your income, and then you just set it up to happen
So
automatically.
you don't even have to think about it.
Exactly. It's like pay yourself first. Money goes straight from your checking account to your savings and
I
investments.
like that. And when you don't have to think about it every month, it's easier to stay consistent, right?
And totally. And another important thing is trying to increase your income.
Makes sense. More money coming in means more to save and invest, but it's not always easy to just get a raise or whatever.
True. But there are other ways. Maybe you negotiate a raise at work, find a side hustle, or even start a business.
Oh yeah, like having more than one way to make money.
Exactly. There are so many possibilities these days. And those side hustles, they can be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can try new things, learn new skills, and make some extra money. Money that you can then invest.
Smart. You know, earlier you said you had some stories from your own fire journey. Would you mind sharing a bit about that?
Sure. When I first started thinking about fire, I was working this job and it was really draining.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was bad. I felt like I was just going through the motions.
Yeah.
I wanted something different, but I didn't know what. Then I found out about fire and it was like everything clicked.
Like it gave you a direction to go in.
Exactly. It was like, okay, this is how I can build a life I actually want to live. I started tracking my spending, cut back on stuff I didn't really need, and started investing more.
Sounds like you made some big changes. Was it tough to adjust?
Honestly, yeah, it was hard sometimes. There were times when I wanted to just give up and go back to my old ways.
I bet.
Especially when I saw my friends, they were spending money, going on trips, having all these experiences, and I felt like I couldn't do any of that.
Yeah, I could see how that would be tough. It's easy to compare yourself to other people.
It is, but I kept reminding myself why I was doing this. I would imagine that future I was working for, all the freedom and flexibility that kept me going.
It's so important to have that clear vision, right? And it's like your anchor when things get hard.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad I didn't give up. Because now I have the life I always wanted. I don't have to work a job I hate. I can do what I love, travel, spend time with people I care about.
That's amazing. It's really inspiring to hear that. It shows that fire really is possible if you're willing to put in the work.
It is. And it wasn't just about the money. The whole journey, it changed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned so much about myself, what's important to me, things like that.
So it sounds like fire isn't just about money. It's about personal growth too.
It totally is. It's about learning about yourself, facing your fears, and getting out of your comfort zone to create the life you want.
So we talked about all the steps to take, but what about the mental side of things? How do you get in the right mindset for fire?
That's a huge part of it. One thing that really helped me was focusing on abundance instead of scarcity.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when you're always thinking about what you don't have, like not enough money, not enough time, it creates this feeling of lack.
Right.
But when you start to believe there's enough for everyone, that changes things.
That sounds good, but it's easier said than done, right? How do you actually start thinking that way?
It takes time, but one thing that helps is being grateful for what you already have. Spend a few minutes each day thinking about the good things, even the small things.
That's a good idea. Shifting your focus from what you're missing to what you already have.
Exactly. And another thing is to see the opportunities all around you. Instead of focusing on what's holding you back, look for what's possible.
So it's like looking at things from a different perspective.
Exactly. And most importantly, believe in yourself. Believe that you can create the life you want.
Love it. It's all about taking control of your own life.
Exactly. And another important thing is learning to delay gratification.
Ooh, that's a tough one these days. Everyone wants everything right now.
It's true, but with fire, it's about playing the long game, making choices today that will pay off later.
It's like you have to have the discipline to see past the immediate and focus on the bigger picture.
Exactly. And one last thing, it's really important to have a growth mindset.
What does that mean for fire?
It means seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, not as failures. It's understanding that mistakes are part of the process.
So you're not afraid to mess up because you know you can learn from it.
Exactly. Get comfortable being uncomfortable,
Yeah.
because that's where you grow the most.
I like that. It takes the pressure off knowing that it's okay to make mistakes along the way.
And you don't have to do this alone. Connect with other people who are doing fire.
That's right.
You can learn from them, support each other. It makes a huge difference.
That's such good advice. This has been incredible. You've given us so much to think about. Any last words of wisdom for people just getting started with fire?
Believe in yourself, keep your eyes on the prize, and don't be afraid to ask for help. The fire community is so supportive. Reach out, connect with others, you'll see.
This has been an amazing deep dive into fire. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all this with us.
My pleasure.
And to all our listeners, remember, you can achieve financial freedom. It takes planning, it takes effort, and you have to shift your mindset. But it can change your life. So keep learning, keep growing, and keep those fire dreams alive. Thanks for listening.